How about I call you tomorrow at 4 p.m.?
Yes, of course.
I have scheduled the call for tomorrow at 4 p.m. We have available times at 12 p.m., 3 p.m., and 5 p.m. Which of these times would you like to choose?
5 p.m.
Perfect. Then we have the visit scheduled.
Let's review the problem and opportunity. When it comes to winning clients in the real estate businesses, there are several challenges in the funnel since they tend to be longer sales processes. But one of the most overlooked challenges is the cost of acquisition. It also affects the overall acquisition cost of the entire funnel. In this part, the dream would be obtain an affluent and frequent amount of leads, always with high interest in the property offered. And this will be enabled more control over the cost per lead and in general the commercial results thanks to the better predictability in the funnel, while in the worst scenario, offering more similar to the reality is I wish I had a large base of registered users waiting for your contact, but after countless hours of follow-up, you realize that only a minority qualifies, and on top of this group, there are few interested in the offer. At this midpoint, the truth is that real estate professionals spend excessive time and money with poorly qualified leads because their user depends exclusively on one-on-one contact with a real estate agent, and the most they can do it is to leave a form and a way to be attended to. But the contact time is often extended with an increasingly less passion in the current generations, and adding to this, the present great real estate offer and the limited attention during working hours. These end up, of course, cooling or losing the lead while they will get their best option. On the horizon of this business, AI increasingly doesn't stop developing to assist or even absorb human capabilities, while one asks, this is a threat or an opportunity for a real estate market. Depending on how you see it here, there are three options: either escape, inevitable, or defend yourself with excuses about other priorities, or start understanding. Each has its risks, rewards, but here we'll see not only an implementation but anticipate a reality where competitors could get ahead of each other after adopting this technology. Thus, they will discover the complexity that simulates automating this lead qualification process can already be replaced by AI, and you will ask yourself in the end, and then what will come next? In the end, what we seek is to empower the real estate professional with these tools, while increasing their sales closing rate better, in their acquisition costs of better quality leads without having to sacrifice or overpay with hours wasted on poorly qualified leads. It's all 24/7 days a week in an intelligent and automated way. We will show you through a demo of an automated scheduling qualification system with digital channels such as WhatsApp and telephone. This will allow your leads to automatically connect with a professional advisor, finding their schedule availability from any channel, thus avoiding losing qualified leads with agility and quality without depending on them converting with them. You will finally know inside how this technology works within artificial intelligence. Although this is a simplified version, its complete and personalized version already in Pioneer shows a valuable returns a month after implementation. Well, let's move on to the design of that system. Don't be scared about this is the mapping of what we'll need to do. I promise you this is easier than it seems if you follow me step by step. And it's that all that columns of yellow, these activities will be executed by our lead, while all the tasks grouped in that light blue rectangle will be those performed by AI. Here, I want to highlight that we will use the Make application, which is an application that allows other applications to be synchronized, to send and receive data with each other. In order to orchestrate all this, and we will connect with a CRM, for example, in this case, HubSpot, or it can be any of your choice. We will use RetailAI too, which is an application to be able to design and deploy AI voice agents. FlowWise to be able to design capabilities of AI agents, in this case using a vector database, to make queries in a knowledge base. Everything starts when our user converts after completing the form, leaving data such as mail, telephone number, data of property that interests them. This data will capture it by the application and will be sent to a CRM, in this case through our first mail automation scenario. Then, as a first point of contact, we will invite in WhatsApp, since we want to anticipate a reality. More than 90% of the opening and response rates happen in a channel messaging already, and that is why we use this message channel. But also we will give the lead the option to indicate that a phone call should be made, and it's in this last modality, due to the dynamic and more persuasive nature of a call with a voice agent with a fairly natural voice, we are increasingly registering higher closing rates of scheduling. That is why by using these two channels we can maximize the results that this automation seeks. Now, returning to the WhatsApp channel, we have two scenarios. One will be the greeting and the second will be the conversion logic. For this, we will need two applications. The second will be voice flow, which allows you to design conversation in chat. The second is FlowRich, which allows you to connect those chat conversations with a WhatsApp business account. In this case, then, regardless of whether the interaction is writing or not, our agent will call and check the availability of the lead, who will confirm their availability, and in the case that they are not available, the first scenario will be activated, in which our agent will reschedule a second call. For this, we will need two scenarios like this, in which the second call is scheduled and the second is the call executed at the time and date that they have indicated, and if they have confirmed their availability, our agent will execute a series of questions of quality that lead in the real estate industry. We have this question, but in our case, as it's a demo, we will ask some similar questions to avoid unnecessarily delaying in this scenario, in which they will check the availability for a potential appointment, and after the response of our lead, our agent will qualify. If they don't qualify, this means that the last answer that granted are totally or partially incompatible with the first information that was given. To go to our other third scenario will be activated, in which our client will search and recommend alternative properties, and for this we will need this scenario in the case that then our agent is going to finally schedule a visit in the property through the last scenario, in which a time and date can be registered in Google Calendar. In this video, we will implement as first part that people are ready for the WhatsApp channel already. In a second part, we will implement what remains of the flow with the agent phone call. For the third, I will use fill out. I have designed a template here once the data is filled in. This scenario of sending the fill data to CRM will be activated, while it also allows automation. I also have automation when the form is filling in. It will send data to this URL along with all these fields with a fill information. The URL is linked from this second scenario to be able to send a message by WhatsApp. This has a URL. It's copied and pasted here. When the data is sent, it will be stored in Airtable to keep track of the conversation, and the greeting message will be sent to authorize a WhatsApp business account that you have. The receive PIN number and the message with the fields. Now it's time to test this form. Let's test send. Now we need a dynamic conversation with AI with an agent WhatsApp. For this second scenario to become a reality, we have FlowRich. The FlowRich page indicates its proposal. It's very fast integration. When we create an account, we go to the integration management option. Here we create the client. I have a test one. Then here we integrate the voice flow project with its project ID. For this, they create their account, and in the dashboard they create their agent. Then click the design button to design. I have created my workflow. It's a template that I will share below in comments. Then go to the settings, and here you have the project ID to use. Copy and paste it. You also need an API token. You get that in the interface option. Then API keys, and here is copy and paste it. In turn, in version ID, change it. to production. Finally, in the client integration option, they follow the 3 steps. Associate the information of the company that we previously linked, the name of the integration, the channel of the integration. We will use WhatsApp, and here they will link with a Facebook account associated with their WhatsApp business account, so that the token is automatically generated. They will have a specialized number, thus they will have a number to manage an infinite number of simultaneous conversations, designing according to what you design in VoiceFlow. And now we will go on to see that design to create and allow the user to reaffirm their interest in qualifying as a lead. In this response, we will serve it as a trigger to trigger the design of this conversation. As we see here, once this block has started, it will capture the last response with this variable called last utterance. In the second block, we will request the email not only to validate but to obtain the fraud data registered in our database, and thus facilitate channel attention through this channel. For that, we use this capture of the user email, and to make sure it's the correct format, we tell VoiceFlow to ask again until the user provides a valid email format. In this first block, we compare the match of the email provided with a database and thus obtain that the lead registered for the agent. We see the configuration. This highlighted is the Airtable URL. It will be our database. The access token that we also extract from our Airtable account. In the next block, we are going to compare the match of the email provided with the database and thus obtain the additional data for the agent. How do we achieve this? For this, in this block, we need to use the get method for this URL. Which URL corresponds to you? Well, on this Airtable page, here it tells you that you have to add the ID of your database and the ID of your table. In this table, for example, we already have a lead record in the form. In the URL, it says app plus codes up to the slash part that is your database. You copy it and paste it to the table. Then you see codes up to the next slash before that, and all that correspond to your table. In my case, everything highlighted. Then in token authorization, that's what you get in this option to create personal tokens. You create your token, you put the name that you need, and here displays the possible list of permission your token will have. You add them all in and give it access to the database you need. And here in VoiceFlow, in parameters, we use filter by formula, and here we put the variable email. It's equal to the email of the user that has been provided to us in the conversation. As said, is a text string. It has to have these quotes. In the response capture, we are going to put it as we see it. The records of the response of the name field are going to be saved in this variable. Then in property reference in this variable, you create a variable right there and you add a description. Make sure that those names correspond with the headers of Airtable. In my case, they are these. Once the lead marks chat, this box will be executed, which will send the data to this URL that will show you later, or it's obtained together with the data of the conversation at this moment as we get here. And we must take into account that due to the limitations of VoiceFlow to design an AI agent that consults extensive databases, that is why we will create an AI specialized in executive recommendation searches in an application called FlowWise. And for that, we will communicate with the application through make and this its URL. In the main scenario, we create a webhook module in which a URL is shown that should be pasted here. Then a request is made via HTTP to this URL. With this configuration, including the message that the AI agent will receive with the data captured from VoiceFlow, as we saw before. To verify, choose this module and here connect it with your WhatsApp. Choose request code by SMS, and this is the ID. This code will be pasted. When the tests are done, you will notice that in FlowWise message, all conversation will be saved in this session. To obtain this URL, first create an account in FlowWise, and it lists various ways to put that application into production, and that is the recommended way that I recommend to test this automation. Here, they are all listed step by step. You can find them in other videos. In my case, I am using ReportCloud. I already have my application in production and in chat flows. You will be able to import that template that I will leave you below in the comments. This template has all the functions we need for our AI agent. It all starts with this module, Tool Agent, which serves as a central access to you need 4 main components, which are memory, through this module, buffer memory, then chat prompt template, to configure the prompts for AI agent. You can add or remove modules very easy, delete modules or add new ones. You look for them in this bar, in instruction for the agent. It's placed in the system message. In my case, I use a very specialized step-by-step prompt on what to do, and it's accompanied by a human message on the tone and the way to respond. Here in the specialized tools of the chat model, we link in with the retrieve tool. We add the retriever name that will serve as a name to invoke this function. What exactly does it do? It researches for and returns information about the characteristics for the properties of the real estate businesses, which needs in-memory vector store, and this in turn needs a database of the documents to use. In our case, we use Airtable, and this also needs a character text splitter to be able to split it into batches of 1000 characters and be able to consume all the information through a process called data vectorization for a more effective search with AI. Here you must add the Airtable API from your account. Here, as we did in VoiceFlow, to get these fields, base ID and table ID, you get it from the URL depending on the database they are using. In my case, this URL, so I will use this switch I highlight to indicate my database. Then the letter TP is indicated in the URL in our table to mention your table. This is extracted in this last code before the question mark. Well, and also add an OpenAI embeddings module in addition to the database with our table. Here, this document will be embedded by this module in a vector space for better reading and consultation for AI. Finally, in the module where we define the prompt, we'll link it. And finally, as a generational text model, we will use an OpenAI chat with the most recent model that you preferred. Add your credential in OpenAI, you add the credential from the mentioned adoption, and there you add each one that you need. Meanwhile, the response from our FlowWise AI agent is executed in this way. And finally, to allow the AI agent to answer continuous questions based on the lead's last response, here what I'm going to do is to duplicate this box that we previously reviewed and send data to FlowWise and place it at the end of the flow with a different webhook URL but prompt to avoid duplicating responses. Since the original box already have in the following responses, that's why we only send the session ID. After the last successful response from FlowWise, we are going to capture the user response for this in the menu. In the listen option, we choose a drag capture, and to answer the lead's question, we'll use the same box as before. For this, we simply duplicate it, and this time we are going to send a response request to our AI agent in FlowWise. But with a difference, we are going to use a different URL API from before through another make with hook address and send the same collected data. It's very important to add the last occurrence variable that refers to the last thing mentioned by the user. For this, with a scenario very similar to the previous one, we will have make, where we generate a different URL in this webhook module. And in the FlowWise URL, we only include the last occurrence variable that we send from FlowWise from VoiceFlow as we saw in the session ID. Everything else remains the same. Well, I congratulate you for getting this far. Now comes the second part where I will teach you how to implement an AI call agent that qualifies and executes scheduling with multiple decisions.